I'm coming here for this interview to be physically and face-to-face with you, and there's a reason for that. I guess that much of the exchange in human communication, it's still very physical.
The important thing is that the architects know each other and get along well, and have and we are sharing, I think, like a work culture and also a process how we develop design, and that's how the idea came up. So we thought maybe we could bring in a contribution combining the viewpoint from the South American continent with the Swiss office.
That's absolutely crucial, the fact that we have created this project in a partnership, and that's something, it is not only a geographical thing, it's a cultural thing.
The perspective just gets wider, you know, in a way that maybe we would need some more hours to discuss this.
You don't want to invent the wheel again, and you want to invent the wheel over and over again. And these two forces have to be balanced. So we've been creating that environment in the collaboration where, on the one hand, you have the local, the experience, the context. You know what you're talking about, so you deliver in a proper way. Yet you make those stupid questions as if you're an outsider, where eventually, not guaranteed, but eventually you may move and open the fields to these new responses to new questions.
The discussions kind of started with the iconic nature of the existing tower, which has a very particular shape, obviously, and architecture. And one of the key questions of the competition was how to react to it.
That's why we came up with a square, so that we had a dialogue between two classical forms. And the square is more easy to be adapted. We have studied architecture from the past, and those that are able to stand the test of time are geometries that are clear, that are simple, where the structure is kind of self-explanatory. So that's why we understood maybe to go for this dialogue between two elements that do not compete.
Not to kind of mimic the circle, but still to have a shape that's kind of strong enough to develop a dialogue.
So that we create the notion of campus, not just two buildings that have nothing to do with each other. Geometrically speaking, they may be different, but they had a tension in between the two.
When you're asking how do they talk to each other, it's like, that's kind of one of the key ideas, that they kind of, in terms of geometry and urban setting, they kind of are like a couple, or they talk to each other. But in terms of their typology, the new one is different and reacting to actually contemporary questions and contemporary needs for collaboration and work.
Modularity, flexibility, be able to change over time, adjust to new situations. We were just coming out of the pandemic. The whole work world changed from one paradigm to another one.
I mean, there is this key question, why would you go to the office, as you can do many things also remotely? And one of the most important reasons is the encounter, the interaction, to see, to be seen, to interact, to talk, to discuss, to invent incidental encounters.
We wanted to create something that was porous, that was able, actually even allow people to go out. And so those elevated spaces where you can go to outdoor terraces and actually small squares connects to the other dimension of the tower, which is, well, why do people even come to the office?
That's kind of the nature of designing architecture, is that it's not like a linear process, it's an integrative, iterative process. So you have various forces in the end driving the nature of the project.
The moment you create a plan of a building that is as empty and open as possible, so that when people come to the office, actually meet others, be it in formal meeting rooms or in informal settings, that's the moment human communication takes place. And for institutions, that's crucial. I mean, that's the way we will move forward, by transferring knowledge, by taking decisions. I mean, again, that is a very physical act. So we wanted that the workspace was as transparent and open as possible, so that encountering others could take place in the most smooth, calm and natural possible way.
It's porous, it's open, and it has this connotation of a forest or of nature, with this play of light and shadow. And it doesn't have a backside, which is important to us. The square, as a circle, doesn't have a front and a back.
I don't know if we wanted or we felt it was the need that this has to be a transparent structure, meaning that for a bank, trust is what matters the most. And the more transparent, the more you share, then you're lying in a more contemporary dimension of trust creation.
Transparency, openness, and kind of honesty in a way that the ideas for sustainability, structure, grouping of neighborhoods, collaboration, inform the shape, inform the design.
Can we create a structure that is hybrid, that it uses materials that may be more carbon intensive, yet by using it in a less proportion? But also, once you spend energy, spend it only once.
This whole sustainability aspect was is one of the key drivers, because it impacts also the aesthetics and the look. Because if you look at the pictures, you see that every third floor we have this horizontal line in the appearance of the tower, and we have the column-light facade in between. So all these ideas also impact the design in the end.
You can discuss a lot about the facade, you can discuss a lot about many dimensions, but what matters the most is the structure. And the structure not just in terms of resistance, but it was an opportunity for sustainability.
And that's, for example, one of the innovative aspects of the tower, that we kind of have every third floor made of concrete, and the floors in between are constructed in wood, which corresponds to fire regulations, to needs for grouping people in neighborhoods, also the program of the BIS, and which also allows to adapt. Wood construction is much more easy to adapt.
It's a flexible material. You can change it without demolishing over time. And that, again, connects better to the question of changing over time, flexibility, modularity, so on and so forth.
You can recognize these ideas in the design, but in the general nature that it's much more porous and open with this forest-like facade.
We wanted to use first the circular geometry, the more organic geometry of the tower for landing, so that allows us to widen sidewalks, for example, or create green pockets, so that the city around just benefits from these new constructions.
The response to the contemporary work culture, the sustainability, the dialogue with the existing kind of iconic tower, the turning something to the city, which was really important for us from the beginning.
There was this small park with old trees, which in the end is embedded time. By placing the tower in the opposite corner, we saved the trees. And that is something that may be not only appreciated for the bank, but also for the city. That's a corner that we're offering back to the city. And the trees there are fantastic.
The important part is, we think, is that on the city level, we will help to organize and to give more quality to actually the street level.
What we will be witnessing is a transformation from a single building dedicated to an institution to a campus-like structure.
How to integrate the group of buildings in this inner city context, and also how to return something to the city, how to kind of interact with the city.
The center of gravity of the block changes, and that's what we're now developing, so that we create a graceful entrance for the campus structure that serves both vertical elements and interestingly enough, the plinth, which are the most public spaces of the institution, will be creating that reaction to the surroundings. We also wanted to be very gentle with the surrounding buildings.
We hopefully add quality, and will kind of be part of the developing skyline.
This is, I guess, the choreography that we've been performing until now, and it's very likely that the creative process doesn't end until the very last piece of the building is in its place.